You are now tuned in to another episode of Black Girls Den Podcast brought to you by Alicia's Productions.
Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Black Girls Den. I'm your homegirl, Alicia. I'm so glad that you are here again for another episode. We are still doing our Small Town Big Girl Dreams series where I'm talking to entrepreneurs about the benefits and challenges of growing up in a small town or just navigating business in a small town but feeling like you want more. So today I have a special guest, Asa Berche Coleman. Did I get it?
You did.
Yeah, okay. She is a trailblazer. I'm going to read her bio for y'all, okay? Right? She's a trailblazer and change agent from Norfolk, Virginia. She holds a bachelor's degree in legal communications from Howard University, a master's in educational psychology. I didn't talk to you about that. Oh, from George Mason University. A certificate in women's entrepreneurship from Cornell University. She is pursuing a doctorate in educational leadership and organizational development. Give it up for the sis with the degrees, period. Okay, we love that. Educated queens. With an extensive experience as a teacher and administrator in various educational settings, Asa is dedicated to promoting education equity to close the achievement gap. She has a deep love for historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, and takes pride in her roots as a child of Norfolk State and Tuskegee University graduates. Okay, baby. Anybody got nothing on Tuskegee, period. You know, they try to come for Tuskegee. As the founder and executive director of Coleman Preparatory Academy, an HBCU-inspired private school in Louisville, Kentucky, Asa continues to be a trailblazer. She's also a mama too and a published author. I'm gonna say actor. Published author. Okay, period. But let me see if you hired and tracked. I be working at the Coleman Preparatory Academy. Okay. So if y'all have not heard of her before, give her a round of applause if you have heard of her. Be like, woo woo in the comments, period. I had to get you on because I seen something on Instagram basically about what you're doing. And like I told you before we started, I love the being around HBCUs. I feel like growing up, sorry y'all, when I was growing up, I didn't watch A Different World, y'all. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just putting it out there. But there wasn't that much out there, but then there was some out there, you know, you didn't really know too much about HBCU. So I love how you're kind of like embedding that in people in the younger, like it's K through 12, correct?
Pre-K.
Pre-K, okay. Get the little babies in it, okay? So yes, I love how you're instilling that in them now so that when they're on a thing, they're like, oh, I'm going to HBCU, like I'm going to that. And I think that that's really cool because then when you get out in the real world, you know, you have a different experience and you're like always going to be the minority, but when you go to those schools, it's going to be taught to you and you're going to be having a different type of experience. So I really think that's really cool. And I thought you would be great to come on Small Town Girl, Big Girl Dreams. Even though I know you're from Norfolk, I don't know if it's a small town. Kind of here, but you're here and we in here anyway, so we're here to chat it up. So say hey, say what's up, how you doing?
Hey y'all.
Yes, anything else that you want them to know before we get started?
No, that's actually pretty much it. That's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Sneakers, that's the only other thing.
And sneakers, okay, that's your thing is sneakers?
Yes.
Well, let's cheers to this because we are turning lemons into lemonade in this episode. Okay, so let's take a sip. I will tell you who's by, but it's not sponsored. I'm just playing. It's been a major job. If y'all want to sponsor, come to me. I'm just playing. So I like to start off the conversation with just seeing so people who may not know you, kind of like just a little bit about you. So I wanted to ask you, what's one goal you have set out that you have already achieved?
I think, relative to this, would be starting Coleman Prep. You know, it took a while. Not being from Louisville, kind of having to figure out who to meet, how to get there, how to get started, how to find a location. Really, I moved here with the intent to open a charter school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm coming from the DC area where I work for DC Public Schools, but also DC Charter. And so, I had that experience. My mom had a charter school years ago, and so I came here with that plan, right? Like I wanted to open that school, and I wanted charter because for me, understanding that Louisville and Kentucky law and people are a little different, charter to me was a way to have a public school type of framework, but not have to charge. And that was really the goal. Like I didn't want to have to charge a tuition for families to come because I really wanted families that could not afford public or private school. Like I wanted those families, right? So moving here and kind of learning how Louisville and how Kentucky views charter, which is very different than a lot of places.
Yeah.
I get it to an extent. I understand what the apprehension is, but I just wish we could move beyond that and see like there are benefits to especially brown and black families.
Because we don't have charter schools here.
We do not.
Yeah, I remember when I was in college just thinking about it, they were doing something about charter schools. I'm like, what is a charter school? So for people who don't know what charter schools are, can you tell us?
Yes. Okay, so what charter schools are, they are a space for, of course, children to be educated, but they do use public funds. And so it's not a public school in the sense that you have like the school board directly involved. It's another entity, another group of people who create a school, and usually it's focused on something specific. For us, it would have been still an HBCU curriculum. But you are using money from the state, from the federal government, from the local government in some ways to fund that. And so you're not having to charge a tuition. Now, of course, here, the pushback is that folks don't want public funds in this kind of private-esque entity. But Kentucky is one of like I think 2 states, I think it's South Dakota and North Dakota, one of those 2, they're the only 2 states that do not have some type of public or school choice option for families, which, you know, when you look at it from a parent standpoint, you would think that parents should have that decision of where their funds are going, where their money's going, where their child is being educated. But I guess some folks say, well, if you have that choice, then you need to pay money for it. So, you know, I can see both sides of it. But for me, when I'm wanting to deal with families who are, their children are getting left behind in the public school system, you know, maybe behavior issues, and those behavior issues are really because the children aren't being connected to, you know, I want to help those families, but those are sometimes the families that cannot afford tuition, even though our tuition is less than any other space.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you charge tuition now because it's private?
Yes.
Okay, so how many students like do you have in your school?
About 30.
Okay, that's
we want way more, right? That's the goal. That's the goal that I haven't reached yet.
That's cool. Oh, well, you already answered the next question. But I was going to ask you, what made you come to Louisville? If it's like not too much, but like, yeah, what made you like come to want to start a school in Louisville?
So Louisville was attractive because Kentucky, when I moved here, Kentucky had passed a law for charter, but they just hadn't opened any. And I thought, like, that's great. You know, this could be hey, we can be the first. We can start. We can. And then I will be honest, I'm not a huge fan of what I call big box charters. So, like, if you go to these larger cities, DC, Indianapolis, New York, you'll have a lot of charter schools, and they're, to me, more business focused as opposed to student focused. And that's my opinion. I'm not saying that that's how it is, but that's how I feel about it. And so I liked my approach because it is more community based. It is more one-on-one. I am very family engagement oriented. Like, I want the families here. I want to focus on these children. So I like the idea that the law is here. It was an opportunity, I thought, at the time to like really kind of get in and like be the first, right? And then, like I said, it wasn't until I got here and kind of learned, and even it was weird because JCPS at the time were holding like sessions, kind of walking you through how to do the application, and I thought that was good because other places weren't doing that. And so I thought that was cool. And I got here and they were like, yeah, you know, you can do it, but the funding mechanism hadn't been passed. So like you can have a charter school, but they weren't. There was no way to explain how you were getting funding, so therefore there wouldn't be any funding. And I'm like, but then that's a private school.
Yeah.
And so I waited, and then you had the Breonna Taylor situation. Where you had COVID, and the Breonna Taylor situation was all wrapped in there together. And so COVID made it difficult because I couldn't go and like look at buildings because people weren't trying to do anything. And then Breonna Taylor situation, kind of between that and the idea that schools are closed and parents are feeling that the children are falling behind, you have this racial tension, and I'm like, the school has to open. I have to open. We need to be in this space to provide, you know, assistance in this gap. And then it was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to do it as a private school. Yeah. You know, and that our tuition is $7,200 a year. We don't charge it with the summer, so that's like $180 a week. And so for some families, yeah, that's nothing because, you know, these schools charge $14,000. Yeah, you know, or more. But for other families, $180 a week is a lot. Yeah, it's a whole lot. And so, you know, just trying to navigate grant writing and fundraising and trying to meet the right people to say, like, this is something that's important. Like, these children are going to be impacting our future, so we need to invest in them now.
Yes.
Versus waiting and looking like, oh, what is going on? Well, it's up to us.
And so you want to get to it being a charter school, though, kind of eventually, or?
I'm really not sure. And I say that because I am not sure, how I feel about the government and how that will kind of roll out, like what kind of oversight they would have. I have gotten to the point where I'm also like conscious about, do I want my idea out there? I think what we do is magical, and I don't want to just give it out, because when you do a charter, you spell it all out. You have to spell everything out, and maybe that's just me. I'm willing to at least consider it if it comes back up. If we move to other locations that have charter, that's something I've definitely considered.
Okay, so how were you able to come here? You have the private school. How are you able to market? Like, how are you able to build that, like, gain that trust and authority to be able to open this, to get your 30 students? That's 30 families.
Yeah, so it really started, I will say, the Buy Black Lou group that's on Facebook.
The what group?
It's Buy Black Lou.
Oh, yes.
That was instrumental getting started.
Okay.
Because it did seem to be like a one-stop shop. It was really community-based, community-focused. It was, I felt like, almost everybody in the city. So it was a really good platform for me to like share information about the school. Starting off, the HBCU piece wasn't as prevalent. I didn't speak about it as much. It was just like, it was there, right? I really just focused on, because we did like a step up type of thing. We started with pre-K 3, 4, and kindergarten. I think we went up to first grade our first year. And it was just kind of working with those families. And then the next year we moved, but then those families talked to other people. I think starting off, a lot of people were looking for something different, right? And it was like, okay, cool, let's do that. But then even COVID affected our families. Some families lost jobs and couldn't afford the tuition. And so then like they had to pull out. So it has not been, an easy thing at all. I think marketing is definitely something I tell everybody. I know I do a lot of things. Marketing is not one of them. I'm like learning. I'm trying to learn myself, but using social media, I think a lot of our families do a lot of marketing for us, just kind of talking about what their experience has been, with their children, like how their children have transitioned over the years that they've been with us. But I think, maybe in year 2, I was more vocal about the HBCU piece because I realized I was doing it already. I had a drive getting HBCU shirts for our students that first year. Everybody had a shirt. We had an HBCU tea day, and I'm talking about HBCUs, often. I'm talking about my experience at Howard. And so eventually it was like, no, that's the focus. Like, that's what's important. I need people to understand that I am trying to replicate like my experience at Howard, how I felt and how it was very different from my high school and middle school, and trying to give this kind of space for children at an early age, and on up. We hope to go all the way up to 12th grade.
Yes.
I don't have to have them and then send them back somewhere else, and they can stay with us.
Yes.
Exactly.
I like that. Do you know, was there a reason why you chose Howard instead of like Norfolk or Norfolk?
Yes, Norfolk State. Well, I'm from Norfolk. And so when I say like I lived across the street, or lived in the neighborhood called Middletown Arch, and it is literally across the street from Norfolk State. So I grew up on their campus. My mom went there, and so a lot of my high school friends went there. But I only applied to Howard and Hampton. In high school I was a really good student, so I was scouted by Virginia Tech, UVA, Penn State, a lot of Ivy League schools. But my school was pretty mixed, but my classes weren't. I was pretty much the only black person. It was 4 of us, and they only put 2 of us in all the classes. Yep, it was horrible. It was going to be one of the 4 of us, and there was only going to be 2 of us in that class. And having that experience, and I did watch A Different World, but I also had my parents. You have parents too, okay? And growing up, across the street from Norfolk State, I'm like, I want that experience, right? I knew history, and I knew, very well aware of our culture because of my parents. They were that wasn't a thing, even at church. Like, I knew who I was, but I was just in these spaces all the time where I was definitely not able to just be myself and relax, And so I'm like, nah, I don't want any of those schools. Norfolk State was just too close. That's what you want to go way away. But Hampton was far enough, but really close. And so At the end, I got accepted to both. I told my parents, when it was time for me to start going, I already picked Howard, but I'm like, yeah, I think I want to go to Hampton. My mom was like, all this time you were talking about it? Bye. I ended up saying, okay, I guess I'm going there. So, Howard was an experience. I won't say it was an experience, and not so much because of Howard. My first year at Howard was 9/11.
Yeah.
And so, imagine, Aaliyah passed away, 2-3 weeks into school, and then 2 weeks after that, you have 9/11, and I remember that day clear as day, and just then the year after that was the DC sniper. It was my time at Howard was.
Child, I had to go back home. There was a sniper in 2002.
Yeah. Yep. That was a DC sniper, and they were just going around, just randomly shooting people.
What were you? Did they have y'all on lockdown?
No, they told us to lock in a zigzag.
Huh?
Every time I tell people that, they're like, "Wait, what?"
Baby, it was been online classes. Y'all should have figured that out then.
We weren't there yet.
You was not, because they walking a zigzag.
Yes.
How do you go home? What?
It was bad.
That's crazy word.
Yes.
That is crazy, Howard. I ain't want to throw no shade to Howard, because I was like, I don't know how you feel, but baby, I was seeing them on TikTok, baby. People can't even find nowhere to sleep. I hope child ain't got no dorms, ain't to sleep. I ain't gonna do them like that, but
My freshman year was like that. They accepted too many girls, and so they had students at 2 different hotels, one in Maryland and one in Northern Virginia. So
now, Howard, that's been since about 2001, child. Y'all done had about a couple of years. Okay, ain't trying to put your age out there, but y'all had a couple of years. But that's what I'm saying. But I feel like schools do that a lot, and I guess it gets overhyped, and people do accept a lot of people. But there has to be a conversation. Okay, if you're not gonna go, you're not gonna go, because that's not fair, and that does it. And honestly, like I told you, I worked at HBCU. Honestly, I personally, I don't know about Howard, but I don't feel like because us black people are going to HBCUs, we're paying our same amount of money. I don't think that it should be because it's the system, because they're treating black people worse because it's y'all chose to go to HBCU. No, it should be stellar. There should be no reason why there's no beds. Why is financial aid not open? Why am I not going? I don't believe that. That's why I want to start my own school, because I don't believe that they should be having those experiences. It's horrible. And I'm that's not fair to us for you to have this, you want to be proud of your school. You want to be proud, because I will say, I went to U of L, child. We ain't never, financial aid, it was open. I ain't never had no issue. None. Well, somebody had some issue with some more, but that's kind of different. But it's I don't think that black people, we already had to go to slavery. Why do we have to go through grit and gut to go to a school that we're supposed to be so proud of? Yeah. And then the experience is all oh yeah, you gotta fight. No, we shouldn't have to fight to do this, that. We should be able to come of that excellence and being able, we spend our money, and then we should be able to have a great experience. That's just my tangent.
Oddly enough, was year before last, I had some Howard students. They were here on alternative spring break, or alternate spring break. And they were at Cohen Prep for a whole week, and of course my students loved it. I loved it. But it was interesting, talking to them. Part of my dissertation is focused on HBCUs and doing more with less, understanding that they don't have the same endowments. They don't get the same money that some of these other schools get. And they are still able to produce 80% of, black doctors. And, so many high value statistics. But how, right? How are they able to do that when when there are experiences like that? And so listening to the students talk and kind of share what's going on with them was a little different than my time there, 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that was kind of, sometimes you are able to kind of forget some of the drama because you're able to look at some of the other experiences. And so, yes, unfortunately, there are some things I think that HBCUs, might need to work on. And I don't know if it's just a funding thing. I don't know if it's just, they're not, able to do the same things as some of these other schools do, because money is the answer to everything, period. That is it. Money being funneled in hires better people. It hires people who care
care. People don't be caring. And I'm like, why are you working here? Like, I work there because I care about these students. And that's why, I'm going to say too much without saying it, but like, morally, I'm like, I can't work at these places and they don't care. Yeah. But even like Tennessee State, no shade to that one, but they were talking about some of the money. They were like, oh, they may have closed down or not have closed down. But it was like, it get a little too shaky. Like, people, these are people's real lives that you are messing with. Like, if you can't, because baby, at one time when U of L, they were talking about stripping something for the bet. I never played basketball. I was never at the football games. Don't be messing up my degree because y'all want to do, like, these are people's real lives. Like, I can't worry if whatever they was doing over there representing. I can't worry about that. That affects me if we lose accreditation. Like, that stuff is really effective. Like, I don't like, that's nothing to play with. People are putting their money in there, whether they're getting loans. And HBCUs are more expensive than public schools.
It depends. Most of them aren't. Yeah, most of them aren't more expensive.
Oh, they're private.
Yes.
If they're private, they're more expensive. And that's the ones I be knowing are private. So I don't know. But don't give me the line because I ain't go to none of them. But yeah, they're most like that. So that's what I think. We kind of diverted, but it's okay though. But I think that's important to say, just to think about in the overall spectrum. And I got my degree in higher education, so that's why I'm over here like a little passionate about the colleges. You know what I'm saying? So I'm get off my tangent. But what you said? What goal? You said which goal that you haven't reached with, and it was you want to get more people.
Yeah.
You want to market. But I want to go back to when you were younger. Did you always dream of being an entrepreneur?
I think there were bits and pieces here and there. You know, originally I wanted to be a lawyer, and
me too.
Yeah, I still do. I don't think I'm going to do it, but I still would love to.
Was you watching Living Single?
Yes.
Maxine Shaw.
yes, indeed.
Nah, I didn't watch that show.
But I think, there was definitely like this push to do something on my own, right? So not open a school. That was not on the list. That was not on the list at all. I didn't even want to go into education. That was not what I wanted to do. But I think, there were times, and maybe not so much as a kid, but like as a younger adult, teenager, I'm like, I want to do this on my own. I've had other businesses, like I mentioned, I'm a published author, so I have my own publishing company. Now, of course, that's kind of on the back burner because form prep takes a lot of my time. But, I've done this before, having a business and kind of getting it started and all those things. So I think, there was something about me in childhood that was like, I want to do all this stuff by myself, do it on my own. But I think maybe at the time I was going to be a lawyer on my own. My own firm or something.
Yes, that's cool. I never knew about firm. You kind of spoke about it, but you can add. Were there any other TV shows that might have inspired you when you were younger? Like for who you are today?
Yeah, I think, the Cosby Show for me, I think, that was, I had both my parents in my home, but I thought that was really cool. I didn't have any siblings in my house. I'm the only child of my parents. I have a half sister and brother, but I think, it was kind of, I'm trying to think if there was any other shows.
Claire was a lawyer too, wasn't she? An attorney?
Yes.
I forget about her. Hey, Claire, girl. Felicia Richard.
Yes. And then, I don't know if there's any other shows. I mean, I watched plenty of shows, but I don't know if there's any other ones that, like, kind of influenced.
Okay. I know you said a different word, so I was like, that's fine. But you said that. That's okay. The next question is, you grew up in Virginia.
Yeah.
But when you wanted to do your dreams, you said you might have wanted to be a lawyer. You said that you watched like Living Single, different like that. Did you feel like watching those shows made you feel like you had to move to a big city to chase your dream, or that was New York, LA? I don't know.
I think I don't know. I don't think I felt like I had to. But I graduated high school when I was 17. I had just turned 17 in March, and DC was big.
Yeah.
So I did feel like for a while I had to stay in DC. I didn't really consider moving back to Norfolk. DC was great.
How long did you stay there after you graduated?
I stayed there for 17 years until I moved here. So.
Until you moved here, yeah.
So I lived there for a long time.
And the reason why you moved here, because so now you was in a big city, and now you came to like a smaller city. So that was a big transition, wasn't it?
Yeah, Louisville definitely reminds me more of Norfolk in terms of size. Definitely not on the scale of DC at all.
Dang, that's crazy. Do you miss anything about DC?
Yeah.
That you wish you could bring here? Or
the food. I miss the restaurants.
Louisville got good food.
Louisville does, but not like DC. DC, I think it's a culture too. And again, that's not a knock to Louisville, because Louisville does have a lot going on. And I think that I like Louisville for that reason. But DC is the
really the chocolate city?
Yes, it is called the Chocolate City. The culture there, the things to do, the proximity to other big cities, and Louisville kind of has that because Detroit's up the road, Chicago's not far, Indianapolis, Cincy. So Louisville kind of has that. It checks that box for me.
Louisville has that, but Louisville ain't got the money like DC. That's the difference. And I like, there's things to do, but I'm just like, but it's the money thing. Like that is definitely 2 times different. Like even DC, when you're talking about like museums and stuff, you have all the Smithsonian Museum, you have all the monuments. When I taught in DC, I taught 3rd grade, and part of the curriculum in 3rd grade was about the city, and it broke my heart because I taught in Southeast DC. And a lot of my students had never been to the mall. And I said, we had a field trip. I'm like, we're going to go to the mall. They're like, the mall? I'm like, no, I'm talking about the National Mall. And so I'm showing them on the map, like this grassy area right here that's between, the Capitol and the Washington Monument. That's the mall. And all of these are museums. And when we took them down, they loved it. We went to the top of the Washington Monument. And I had this weird thing about heights, but I did it. And it was cool to like see everything. But it was... wow, that a lot of my kids were right there and had never. I flew to the Smithsonian Museum like the first year or the second year that it came out, and that's interesting that you said that to me, because this lady came from DC to Louisville, and she came to this museum and she was like, "Oh, this museum isn't free." And it's like, no, you have to pay for museums right here. I don't know why people thought museums was free. This is not no school trip or whatever. She's like, well, where we're from is free. She was from where? DC. Well, girl, you live in District Columbia. Like, all the museums in DC are free. Like, this is Louisville, Kentucky. Like, this is nonprofit. We don't got that federal backing government there. So I think that's also different too, and seeing like kind of what it is. Because I'm actually thinking about going into museums, right? But I already know. I don't know how much they pay or different things like that. But it's like, that's an educational system too, but it's like different things have different funding and they different ways. In DC you will see that, but everywhere else you pay to go to museums. Like, you don't get into museums free. No. I personally think a black museum should be free for us, but I'm not here for that fight yet, so but so I think that it's like, it does definitely depend on where you live and different things like that, how you see the world. And so that's kind of why this is very important to me, because different people see different perspectives from where they come from. So even this lady, she was like, I'm from Florida, and it's like, well, Florida is geared to tourists. Like it's Louisville is not really geared to tourists. We do have touristy things, right? But it's not in DC. It's geared to tourists. Like you're going there to go to the White House. Now, who's gonna really go pay to go to the White House? Nobody's gonna pay. But if you can go, you can see it. That's what's free. So I think that's a different thing too. I wanted to ask about what are some challenges you had to deal with coming to a smaller town, knowing like what you know from DC?
Well, yeah, for me it was one level of difficulty is I didn't know anyone, when I moved here. I didn't move to a place where I had a lot of connections. And so that was already hard. But I think, not being a large city, you also don't have as many resources. You don't have as many organizations doing X, Y, and Z. You don't have as many people doing X, Y, and Z. So I think, coming from DC and wanting to start a school there, let's say even if I wanted to start a public or private school there, I think there'd be way more resources available, to me than here. And coming from here, as you were talking earlier, it's more focused on people who are from here. And so like when you're trying to bring in a new idea, there's a lot of like contention around that. It's just like, wait a second, we've always done it this way. And again, like, I gotta be careful. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I can say that because I'm coming from an area where, you got an idea, bet we're about to do that. Where I come here and I'm like,
slower pace.
like having to say, well, you know what? You could definitely do it this way. And they're like, well, we do it.
Yeah.
Okay. You know. All right. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that I had to adjust to. You know, just trying to kind of, you know, bring a new line of thinking.
That's interesting that you said that, like, DC, or like you were talking about the resources, because I think in bigger cities, now I live in Atlanta, I don't know nothing about DC, but I feel like they lack resources because so many people are there. So yeah, because when I came back to Louisville, actually I was like, and now it does depend on what you're doing. If you're interested in technology, like, you know, Atlanta's a DC's it, but like, I came back here because I wanted to get into technology. Here, they have so many opportunities if you want to get in that. And so, but of course, you're probably not looking for that. You're like, education maybe, but I think it kind of depends. But I'm like, oh, like, you know, there's a lot of resources here. Now, there ain't like no jobs, but there's some resources, okay? So I do kind of depend, it depends on kind of what you're looking for and what you do, of what the resources are, and maybe who you know, because I knew somebody that was in it. So I see the resources. I see some of them, not all of them, okay? But to your point, you're like, well, no, I'm trying to figure out where they are. So coming that way is different. But I'm like, that's crazy that you said, because I think bigger cities have less free resources. They have more opportunity, but they also have more people trying to get to that opportunity. So
I can see that.
Yeah, that was interesting that you said that. So I like that. What are some things you wish you knew before you started, like maybe before you even moved here, or like before you started your school?
People. I think, I definitely think, and I talk about this often, you know, in other conversations, you know, how could I have done this differently, right? Like, what were some of the things that I probably should have said, okay, wait, let's get this done first. I think too, though, the reason why I did it is because I felt like it was the right time. And if I also feel like if I would have waited, we probably would have never opened. If I would have waited to find this particular person or that person. So I think in hindsight, people is definitely a thing, you know, financial resources. Trying to find the folks who believe in the idea that I have and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, I do believe in it and I'm going to support, you know, what you're doing. So definitely something I wish I'd known before, you know, I moved here. But again, I didn't move here to do this on my own. I moved here to do this through a charter. And so, you know, once I got here and realized that the charter, and I'll be honest, like you know, they kind of come to these sessions and they're like, well, there's no funding mechanism yet. And I'm like, hey, okay, I hear you. But I'm coming from DC where there's a charter school here and then there's a public school at the end of the block. And not to say it's a perfect situation, but You've seen it done before. I've seen it done before. So I'm looking at it like, well, why would y'all halfway do it? Why would you approve to have it but not approve this? So I'm thinking like it has to come.
I heard about that, yeah.
I'm thinking it has to come. Duh.
Did you have any money saved up to start?
No. No, granted, I had a job. Like when I moved here, I did find a job. So I had a job. Yeah, you're like, okay, I wasn't on. You took a leap, but baby, you had a little. Yes, I definitely had a job here before I did that. But you know, no, I didn't have any money saved up. You know, this was completely grassroots. You know, trying to make it happen, find the right people, find out how to, you know, write grants. And I think the people part too is trying to find people who believe in what you're doing enough to help you. And then help you with things like I talked to someone at my church, and one part of the conversation was me learning how to delegate. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get it, but I have to have someone to delegate it to, right? I mentioned that I'm not good at marketing, but then if I can't do it, I don't have the time to teach myself, and then I have to find someone to do it. But I'm also maybe not in a position to pay someone, right? And so, as somebody posted the other day, you know, picking people's brain for free is really not the thing. But, you know, trying to find somebody who's like, you know what, I do believe in what you're trying to do, so I'm willing to help you do this, right? So that's the people. So the people that don't give you the money, but the people who will also connect you to the resources or will provide you assistance and guidance. You said something about that picking brain. It's like it's so hard to build community because everything we do, it has to always be money. And like, you're like, if someone believes in you or someone believes in your passion, it's like, come on, it's like, we will not build community if we're trying to charge for every single thing. Like picking your brain, I do get picking your brain sessions. People are entrepreneurs, like, I get that, but sometimes someone's like, oh, can't pick my brain. I forgot, I've seen something on social media like, no, you can't pick my brain because you can't ask questions. I'm like, dang,
I get charged $1,000 to ask you a question. Yeah. Like, we are like lacking community. We're like lacking that support in the system because everything is $1 versus like if we work together, then we could do more. Because look, just like me, I don't have enough money. I wish I had somebody post on social media. I wish somebody could even, edit for me or do it. But it's like I have to have money to do that. And it's like you can't even really like collab or work with people because they're like, oh, you got to get paid. Like if I got paid, I would definitely pay you. I don't have the money to pay you, right? So I'm like it's kind of lacking, and that kind of is frustrating. Versus like, because I feel like if it was in like maybe DC or Atlanta, like people are so quick to want to do something to put on together, but in these cities it's kind of so lax. They're like, I don't have to do it. People don't see the vision, people don't see this or whatever. So like they're like, okay, like, but in other cities they're like, okay, cool, yes, like let's work together, let's connect, let's network. So
exactly,
I definitely understand that. I would say, how does it feel to be supported by your family or to be not supported by your family?
Yeah, like my parents are absolutely there to support, for sure. Absolutely. My sister, she's in Atlanta, oddly enough. And so, she provides her support, in her own way. But it is, being an only child is kind of it, right? It's just my parents.
Okay, you said you have a half sister.
Yeah.
Half sister, yeah.
Yeah.
Is she in education?
No.
Oh,
no, not at all. She's not. And so I think, that was kind of, I don't know. We don't have to talk about this.
Okay, no.
She's cool and all, but we're not like close. She's like 20 years older than me. But anyway.
You want to edit this part?
Yes. Okay, I was just like, we don't have to talk.
Sorry, I just was
I'm like, why did I even bring her up? I was trying not to be rude just in case she's watching it. I'm like, yeah, but
I just asked when she in education because I was going to ask about the college prep because my friend works at a school, Kip. And
oh, yes.
So that's why I was asking, honestly. But okay, we're just going.
Sorry. I was like, hold on, what am I about to do this? We're not going to do all this. Okay, so
let's just ask the question again.
Yes.
And we'll just go boo boo. Okay. Sorry, I told my roommate that, if that threw you off. I told her that I was recording, but hey, I don't know. I guess she had to go to work early tonight. So, we're just going to do that question over again. How does it feel to be supported or not? Okay. I'll add friends and family for you, okay? Okay, boom. So, how does it feel to be supported with friends or family? If they support you or if they don't support you, like how does that feel?
I think, my parents, of course, support what I'm doing and have been extremely helpful, especially my mom, she is in education.
Oh, yeah,
yes, like she's helped a lot. But I think, some of my other family members have donated here and there. Friends, they'll send me the HBCU shirts, they'll share my posts, they'll donate when I have certain fundraisers going on. But I think all of that is kind of interesting because it's disconnected, right? Because they aren't here. Yeah. Like my family, and that's something that I almost want more Louisville people to understand. My family doesn't directly benefit from this. I don't have any family here in Louisville because I'm not from here.
Yeah.
And so, what I'm trying to do impacts a community that I'm not going to directly benefit from, if that makes sense, right? Like, I'm doing this for the families that live here. That live here in Louisville, right? Of course, I want the school to expand to other cities, and so that'll essentially be the same mindset. But then there's some people that have known me for years and have never supported at all. And of course, sometimes I'm like, that's strange. But then I'm also learning that it's okay.
Everyone doesn't support you. Have you ever thought about having an HBCU day?
Yes. So we do that. We have like a HBCU tea and Greek day where we have people, or we invite people who are in different sororities and fraternities and HBCU alum or students to wear their stuff and just come to the school. We will have a career day on this Wednesday, trying to get HBCU alum to come and talk about their schools and their careers. But we're trying to figure out like a way to do something more often, like maybe like once a month, have folks come in and talk about their schools. I was even talking to one of my friends about maybe having students from different schools almost like pop up on Zoom and just kind of talk about their school and just do this like one Friday a month or something. And just try to reach out.
Yeah, I was like, have you thought thought about like, I mean, it's, I don't know, it's 2.5 hours, I don't know, but I was like getting people from TSU, or maybe some school, like some students come like in the summer, I know you're talking about summer, but like getting students from TSU or like Fisk or something like that to come up. I know it kind of could be hard in the school year or something like that, but even go, or even Tuskegee or something like that. Or have you thought about doing like a college road trip?
So yeah, last year we took a few of our students down to Tennessee. So we went to Fisk, Harry, TSU, and American Baptist. And so we just spent a few hours and came back. For the last 2 years, I've really been trying to get this DC trip together. So of course I want to take them to DC so we can go to the monuments and whatnot, go to the museums, try to go to a Wizards game, and then hit up, you know, the 2 HBCUs that are in DC. So University of DC and Howard, of course, and then go to Bowie State, and then you have Coppin and Morgan State up in Baltimore. And so there's a Black History Museum there in Baltimore, some restaurants that I like. So I mean, I had it planned out. It's just trying to get the funding together. You know, my family's already paid tuition, so trying to make it make sense for them. But
well, you know, you need a supervision person. I'll come on that tour. I want to get tours.
I actually gave them the choice this year. I said, you know, do we want to go to Detroit, because we found out about HBCU that's in Detroit.
What's
Pensole Lewis, and there's a really cool story behind Pensole Lewis. But yeah, so that's in Detroit, and then we were going to stop by maybe Kentucky State, and then Wilberforce and Central State, just because each option I want to do about 4 to 5 schools. So then that would be 4 schools, and then we talked about Atlanta.
I did Spelman. I did Spelman and kind of like Atlanta, but more like Spelman. But yeah, I did that tour when I was I heard I said tuition. I said, let me bring myself back up to Kentucky. That's why I didn't go. That's really bad. Now I'm like, dang, I low key wish I would have went to Spelman, because how we were saying like that college. If I would have went to Spelman, I might have liked Atlanta. I didn't really like Atlanta as much when but it's like, if I went to Spelman, I might have liked Atlanta. But also I'm like, how much my loans was, I should have just went to Spelman and Cheater. I was like private, you know, the child. I was like, baby, I'm out of college and I still got the loans, so I might as well just went to the HBCU, got the experience. It's black folks.
That part.
So I don't know, like, dang, but I want to do, well, I keep saying that, but I'm in higher education, so I'm like, I want to do like HBCU tour. I think it's important, and I think that more people can know about it, because when I was here, I only went to like U of L, UK, they take you to those ones. I heard about K-State, but I never went to K-State, but so that's what I'm saying, like, I feel like it honestly starts kind of in high school, and like to know like to what to expose you to, because now there's nothing really exposed, like A Different World, you know, that was like HBCU, but like now I don't really know a show that's on TV that's kind of exposing you to HBCUs. No,
for the last 2 years I have gone to a conference. It's really a summit. They've had it in Lexington the last 2 years, but it's with Kentucky Department of Education and Cognia, which is an accreditation company organization. And I've gone to their Persistence to Graduation Summit. And the first year, so this is now my 3rd year. This past summer was my 3rd year, but my first year going, I'm sitting at the table and I'm introducing myself. And I say, you know, I'm from Coleman Prep, which is HBCU inspired private school, and like the lady across the table from me, she was a counselor in like Winchester. And she's like, what do you say? And I'm like, HBCU inspired school. And she's like, I was like, historically Black college, university. She's like, oh. And I'm like, okay, so the school, these are schools that were created because Black people couldn't go to other schools. And she's like legit, like, I said, okay.
She's from Winchester, child. You gotta, I mean, there's a couple people.
I was like, all right, bet. I left the thing. I said, you know, at the end of the day, I'm an educator. So I asked the lady at the desk when I was about to leave out, I said, how do I sign up to do a proposal, like a presentation next year? She's like, oh, you know, she gave me the runaround, told me to email her. I emailed, didn't get a response. But then a couple months later, I got something saying like, hey, you know, we're open to proposals. It's like, bet.
Period.
Okay. So I wrote my whole thing out, and so for the last 2 years, I presented there. I've gone down to Paducah and presented there as well. And so I'm really trying to craft this this space. I really want to go to more school districts and talk to counselors and talk to educators, talk to students directly. I'm like even thinking maybe I need to hit up the churches, because it really should start before high school. It really can, right? But yes, like the best way for people to know these kids and know about HBCUs is for their teachers, their educators, and people that they're in school with to know that these schools exist. And I promise you, every time I do the presentation, people are like, I just didn't know.
And if the educator don't look like them, they're not gonna know.
Yeah, so I'm definitely trying to figure out the best way to market that, because I'm like, look, I will come and teach you about HBCUs.
Did you ever see the lady again?
No, if I did, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I've had people who have come to the presentation like 2 years and they're like, I just love it so much. I'm like, thank you. So hopefully,
one thing that is like education is needed. That's why education is needed, awareness is needed. People do not know. So I actually heard about Greek life in high school because I was a part of different things, but that was kind of through the church. So I think the church is kind of a good way to kind of like navigate that space. So that's really good. Who do you think plays the biggest role in your success?
Who in general? I would say it's two parts. My mother, because she's the one who like helps me when I'm like, I'm over it. She's like, well, I am my best friend in that regard too, because she's the one that's here. She's the one that sees the day-to-day things and sees like the highs and the lows, and she's the one that kind of keeps me grounded here. But I think the kids, the families, of course, because they are choosing Coleman Prep. They are saying that this is where I want my child to be. This is what I want my child to learn. This is the space I want my child to be in. And I just, one thing I hate is that I feel like we would have so many more kids, right? If that the cost is a barrier, and I think sometimes people say, okay, free. But free is not always best. And I don't know how to help people get that. Right? I can't tell you that because it is your money. You can do what you want with your money. I just wish some people could grasp, like, wait, this right here could really impact my child in a very specific way. And I did a post a long time ago explaining, like, a sacrifice is something that you gotta sacrifice, or an investment more so. An investment is something that you have to put into now. You might have to sacrifice to put it there now, but it pays you back later.
It's what people value.
And it's like trying to get them to see it. And so this is year 5, and it's like I'm constantly trying to say, how do we show people what our kids can do? You look at our Instagram, our kids know Black history. Our kids know, and I'm talking even our 3-year-olds, we go up to 8th grade, but like they know Black history, they know about HBCUs, they understand who they are, they're understanding how to, we are chill, we're relaxed, but we also have to have these come to Jesus meetings. Like, you're not talking to your friends like that. You're not going to talk to adults like that. You can have your attitude, okay, it's on 100 right now. I'm gonna give you a few minutes to get yourself together and talk, But it's that versus me kicking you out your class and calling your parent and say, come get you. Because you having an off moment. Oh, you need to take it? Go take a nap. Just go ahead.
But I like that you're able to kind of like do whatever is needed for that student within that time. Have you ever tried to partner with like the public African American centric schools? Or not really?
I'm not opposed to it. I feel like I remember somebody told me one time, like, oh, I'm good with everything you're doing, for the pre-K, but once you get to this public school, I can't go. And I'm like, and then this is insinuation that I have an issue with public school. I'm a product of public school. I went to public schools in Virginia. I went to some of the better schools that I would almost argue were like private schools because they had the lawyers' kids and the doctors' kids. I went to school with the mayor's daughter for elementary, middle, and high school. Okay, so I'm around these people who are doing very well in life now. Their parents are doing well then. So I'm not opposed to public school, but I am very adamant about it's not the right fit for all kids.
Yes,
and I think that's where people want to be like, oh, we can't help her because she's not public. I'm not public, but there are kids who are failing in public school. And so either we're saying we care about all the kids, or you're going to say, I only care about the kids that are not falling through the cracks. Because there are plenty that are falling through the cracks.
And I was going to say, too, because you can kind of create your own curriculum, kind of like with the testing and kind of like whatever you read and stuff like that. So that is really, really cool. Before I knew anything about actually HBCUs, I thought I was on something. I said, I want to start my own school, child. They said Mary
McLeod Bethune. Mary McLeod Bethune? Who you talking about?
Maybe. I don't know.
No, finish your statement.
I was going to say Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah, Mary McLeod.
Oh, yeah, I was like, I thought you were saying that. And they was like, well, it's already school. Then it was like Spelman. I said, well, child. I said, oh, snap, that is a school, child. I said, well, I want to start my own college. That's before I knew what was going on, child. So that's funny, though. But, how do you balance creating content, i.e. marketing, posting on social media, and networking? If you balance it.
Right, balance. I try to post, I think we post, well, not every day, but there are times when we do post every day. I try to post more, when something's going on, with the students and whatnot. As far as like the content, it really is, again, if more of them have on the HBCU shirts, because we are a uniform school, but the HBCU shirt, it's just like a polo shirt or whatever. But
is there a reason why?
I don't really. That was one of those things that my mom kind of suggested, like early on. I like having everyone kind of looking the same in a way. We have options. It's like a red shirt, gold shirt, black or white. So then they can kind of like interchange it. In a way, I'm like, oh, am I adding an expense to families, right? That's a thought. But it is just getting the polo shirts from Walmart or wherever you can. Like, that doesn't matter. But we do give out the HBCU t-shirts, and we have our own Coleman Prep shirts that we like give out every year. We kind of change up the design each year so we not get the same shirt. And, but, more of them are wearing the HBCU shirts because they can wear them whenever. We'll take pictures then, and or it really depends. Like if someone is doing something cool, or we're doing something about Black history.
Do you ever do TikToks?
We've done some TikToks. So we did do this one where we have like a whole string of videos where we say, we don't go to this particular HBCU, but we know this. And we've done like facts about that school. So there are some that are on TikTok, but most of them are on Instagram. So that's the other thing, like having to put them, remember to do it over here, and then do it over here, and then do it over there. But yeah, there's plenty on Instagram. We do our Black history questions. For a while I was doing like a trivia every Monday, and now we have we've been out for the summer. We've had students in our camp.
You have a camp for the summertime?
Yeah, we definitely have a camp over summer. But now that we started the school year back up, some of our newer students, we're just trying to teach them some more about Black history, but we'll do our trivia again. So it's like, are you smarter than a Coleman Prep Trailblazer? And
okay, period. That's why you kept saying Trailblazers, because they're Trailblazers.
Yes.
Okay, I said she got Trailblazers a lot in her bio. I was trying to figure out why. Okay, the Coleman Prep Trailblazers, period. Yes. I would say, have you ever thought to ask, you were talking about the Zoom thing. I think the Zoom thing would be really cool if you reach out to celebrities, because they can come on Zoom.
If I can get somebody to come.
Yeah, I would just be emailing people like, hey, I have this, can you come and speak? It's like a speaking engagement. Yeah, celebrities, they all chat.
I feel like they're want to try. It's funny you mentioned Lance Gross though, because he went to Howard, and
he was at Simmons a couple years ago.
Yes, he was at Simmons Fest, and I took a picture with him then. And then I took a picture with him then, but I run into him at a restaurant in DC. Me and my teacher friends had just gotten off work. We ran into him there, so I have a picture of him from 8 years prior to So yeah, it was pretty cool. I was like, oh, look at that. I have
That's all I thought about, because I was on HBCU.
Yes.
But there's another HBCU people out there. It was Anthony. Is his name
Anthony Edwards?
Anthony Anderson.
Anderson, yeah. He just finished at Howard 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. You gotta hit him with the I'm a Howard alumni, girl. Don't let me get you in.
Plenty. There are a lot. That's part of the presentation that I do. It goes through this whole process of you matching HBCU alum to their schools, and they're all celebrities. So it's okay, and then trying to make it somewhat fun for kids. And granted, Megan Thee Stallion went to HBCU.
Period. Texas State, right?
Yes, Texas Southern. And then and 2 Chainz went to Alabama. I don't know. I want to say A&M or State.
Yeah,
I don't know.
State's a HBCU.
Yes, Alabama. State, and then Alabama A&M.
Yeah, I knew A&M was a HBCU.
And so I can't remember.
Well, child, don't get us a line. We don't know. Let us know in the comments.
But yeah, one of those two. But yeah, there are quite a few. But we're trying to make it relatable. So some of the kids will be somewhat interested.
Because they're celebrities. That's what I was thinking coming to talk. You were talking about
great.
That. I think that'd be kind of cool. And you're literally Howard. I would be over there. I'm a Howard alumni. I have a T school. Can you please come and talk to my kids for 5 minutes, and then have them ask a bunch of questions? So I don't know. Well, I don't know if you answer the question, or if you have the answer. Okay. But how do you balance it?
I don't think I did. That's the point. I don't balance it. No, I don't think I do a great job of balancing it. I just try to get it done.
Yes. And what's your role? Okay, so of course I know you're the founder and the CEO. Do you teach though?
This year I am teaching. I'm teaching second and third grade.
Oh, girl, you teaching too?
Yeah, I know. We're trying to see if we can hire somebody to take over that class.
Then you don't have any seniors, do you?
No.
You don't. I would say when you get seniors, I'll come do a college prep class. But I will come do one. Yes. I'm teaching a first year experience course right now.
Okay.
At my college. So but that's what you're trying to get to 12th grade.
Yes.
You said it's up to 8th.
Yes.
8th grade. Yeah. And then they should be knowing about a freshman year. So actually, we need to be prepping them freshman year. So if you get a freshman, okay. So. Let's wrap this up. This is our last question in this segment is, what does success mean to you?
What does success mean to you? I think success for me is being, I want to say, dare I say, stress-free. Like,
are you stress-free?
I'm definitely not doing it. So, I think personally it would be in a space where I'm just happy and not worried, so to speak. But I think success for Coleman Prep looks like some of the days that I walk into that building when our kids do know history and and not just like history, right? Like they understand what they're supposed to at their grade level, and some of them are beyond their grade level, and so
put your kids in Coleman Prep.
Yes, absolutely, put your kids in Coleman Prep. But they are prepared socially and emotionally. They are prepared academically. They're going to be the ones who take over our community in a positive way and have that impact. And so that's what success looks like. And so we're not at college yet, but I'm like, okay, we gotta start now. We take it seriously.
But you're doing a lot. They're in elementary school going on HBCU tours and talking, baby. I ain't know nothing about college and elementary school, so you're doing good. Period. Yeah, you're welcome. I never ask anybody this, but I just thought to ask you this because we're talking about it kind of, because you said you teach, you're the founder of it. Like, how many hours? Like, what time do you wake up in the morning?
About 6, if not earlier. But yes, about 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm up and I try to be in bed about 11-ish. I try to get in bed before that, but I might not fall asleep until about 11.
Okay. Because I'm like, that's a long day. Because then you still got to grade, you still got to talk to students. Like, you got to deal with all this stuff, and you have a whole building and different things like that. So that's why I wanted to know. Because it's like you're balancing like 3 different roles. And you're like
more, but yes.
Well, yeah, 3. I was just trying to think of times like as CEO, but then you manager, because then you have to hire the people. You have to like make sure that they're good and everything like that. Did you have to go through a process for that, for like to find teachers or something like that? Or
no. Our early childhood program is licensed by the states, and then there's like certain requirements that we have to like follow with that, that age group. We're working on accreditation, so that's like another thing that takes a lot of work, but I'm hoping like once we get it done, it's checked and we're ready to move forward from that. So I know it for the hiring has been interesting because it is very, very, very important for me to have the right people in.
Yeah,
like they have to be the right people, and
they don't have to be HBCU graduates, do they?
They don't have to be HBCU graduates, no.
But they get a little extra.
I'm like, good job.
Yeah, they get a little okay.
I'm like, okay, you're cool.
Yeah,
they don't have to be HBCU grads, but I mean, I still want them to learn and know about HBCU too.
Well, yeah, definitely that like that. But I was just playing. Okay, so our next segment is digital dilemma versus reality, and it's about basically entrepreneurs on social media. Little fun little game, but I want you to tell me if this is a myth or if it's reality. Okay? So you need social media to be an entrepreneur.
I would say in 2025
it's reality.
I feel like that's a reality. Unfortunately, I do. It's possible. I don't know. I mean, either that, or you're gonna have some billboards. But even at having a billboard, somebody's gonna want to go to their phone and be like, "Okay, let me see."
Did you do radio?
I have done radio. Not recently though. It was when we were in Lyles Mall, so that was like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do billboards?
We have not done any billboards, and I think that would be something I want to do because it's so many people here who are like, I didn't know you existed. I think what you saw was I did an interview with Historically Black Sense, and they put it out there, and we shared it, other people shared it, and so many comments, and I would go back, so many comments on that, but I think that may have been where you saw me. They were like, this isn't movable? I didn't know it's here. So I'm like, okay, how do we get there? Or when I go somewhere and I'm saying something about myself, and they're like, what?
You should do a personal TikTok.
I gotta think of, yeah.
Oh, you do a personal, baby, you better do a personal TikTok, because this one lady, she did it, and she talked about, because the school she works at is Grace James Academy.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying, like, she talks about it, and she talks about the ethnic and the Afrocentric, like, curriculum, kind of, and she does it as, like, a kind of like a did you know or do you know or whatever, so you could kind of do that, spin it for your school, I think, right? Like, did you know there was a private, like, HBCU inspired school in Louisville? You didn't know? Oh, yeah, I'm the founder, period. Like, yeah, then you can just, because people are really on TikTok, and honestly, when I talked to a student, she said that she wanted to go to, like, Florida, what's the school? FAMU.
Okay.
I said, how did you know about FAMU? Because she's from Kentucky. She said TikTok. I was like, oh my gosh, like, so people are now searching TikTok for schools, you know, you're seeing it. So I think that could be really good. And parents are on TikTok, like, everybody's on TikTok, like, I was teaching my class, I said Facebook, I said TikTok, I'm sorry, y'all, Facebook, like, I'm on Facebook, but I think that, but also Facebook groups are good too, but I think, because of the awareness, people don't know, because, yeah, I didn't know, I did see something on Instagram, but it's like, oh, okay, that's cool, like, you know, so I think that can kind of help. I'm not really trying to tell you what to do, but I'm like, I think that can kind of like help it, because you're saying entrepreneurship. I think TikTok will be really good, because that's what people are looking at, different things. That's what you're doing, like challenges or dance or whatever, and then, you know, tag celebrities. So then that's when they'll see you for real. They can really see you. But yeah, I think TikTok could be good to bring that awareness, to share what you're doing here, and the fact that you moved from DC and you're like, oh, since I want a charter school, and you did not stop, and as an entrepreneur, you pivoted, and that's kind of what you have to do as entrepreneurs in general. You got to pivot. So I think that's really good.
Okay, I like that. I can do it.
Yeah. So there is all like trolls and like haters online. Do you feel like that's a myth or a reality?
Oh, it's a reality for. I mean, they're out there. You know, whether
do they affect you?
Oh no. I've had here and there. I've had somebody just have something to say. You know, I remember somebody made a comment. I think we were on news once. And somebody made a comment of like, oh, all that work to desegregate schools, and then we had this school. I'm like, well, the school is not segregated. Yeah. If white people wanted to come, or whoever wanted to come, the school is open to everybody. Yeah, you know, you just don't learn about HBCU. Don't learn about HBCU history. I don't care who comes. Everybody
and they act like they was desegregating it.
That was right. Somebody was like literally commented under there and was like, do you know anything about this school? Because like if you knew something about this school, you wouldn't have said that. But other than that, you know, thankfully.
Louisville is where they comment on different things, you know. Oh, I was going to ask you, what side of town is your school on?
We're in the West.
Okay, I was going to ask that. Yeah, I was going to ask.
We're in California neighborhood.
Oh, California neighborhood. I heard that word before. Okay, period. Following on, like, Instagram, I should say, equals success or money. Like, your follower count. Like, you got $100 following me, you got $100,000.
Oh. I don't know.
You think that's a myth?
I would say that might be a myth. That could be.
Yeah, it's basically saying that people have a lot of, like, if you have a lot of followers, that means you got a lot of money. That's what.
Well, and I think, because, you know, they're paid too. Like, if you do have a lot of followers and, you know, in that way, and you get people to kind of engage with your content, you know, you can get paid that way. But I would think that's about the only way. I don't know. Yeah.
You don't need a 9-to-5 as an entrepreneur.
You don't need it once you get to that point. But I think starting off, you know, I feel like I actually watched something or read something the other day about that. Like people were just saying like, oh, you know, just go ahead and start on your own. You have to start somewhere first.
You gotta have something to be invested in.
And you need to have money so that you can invest. So, you know, I definitely believe in working your 9-to-5, and then from 5 to 9, you working on your entrepreneurship. You know,
literally what I'm doing.
Yeah, I really think that's the way to go.
So, that's a myth, because you do need a 9-to-5. Yeah. How long were you doing yours, like, together? You said when you came out here you worked
a job. I worked probably about 2 years, a year and a half going on 2 years before I finally started Coleman Prep. And really, I wasn't trying to leave my full-time job. I had hired a young lady who was going to be over this summer. We were starting our school as a part of a summer camp. And so somebody else's summer camp, we like signed on just to do like the Rising Kindergarten. And that was good because that was going to give us an opportunity to kind of show what we're doing, have a place for people to come and tour. So that's kind of how I was able to say, no, really, you can come see it. It's not just up here, you can come see it in action. Yeah, but I hired a young lady to like work alongside the teacher, and she showed up one day and didn't come back. What? And so I'm like, and then me being me, I'm like, oh, I can't leave a girl by herself. So then like I pretty much had to start with Coma Prep a little earlier than I wanted to. Like I wanted to put a little bit more money to the side and like make some more connections. And here I am, like,
yikes!
And that's work. So that was not quite my plan.
I don't know why people talk about that as enough, like the hiring and the finding people and stuff. Child, it'd be a lot.
Yes.
So that is definitely a myth because reality is you need a 9 to 5. Everyone being a 6-figure owner, like if everyone's an entrepreneur, people are like, I'm a 6-figure owner, like they always say that on social media. Do you think that's a myth?
That's a myth.
Okay, yes. Because are you really a 6-figure owner?
Right.
And the last one is what do you have to move to LA, Atlanta, or New York, or DC? Do you feel like you have to move to one of those cities for your dreams to come true?
No. That's a myth.
Because she moved to Louisville. Period. 502. 502 stand up. Do you feel like you're going to leave Louisville though?
At some point.
Oh, really?
I don't believe Coma Prep will leave. I plan to leave
Coma Prep and then you're going to move to another.
Yeah, I hope to open locations in other cities.
Other cities?
Yes.
Okay, Detroit.
I wouldn't mind. To be honest, I had never been to Detroit, and people here talk so badly about Detroit until like how long ago? It's been about a year and a half. It was my first time. No, my first time going to Detroit was probably about a year ago. Maybe a little longer, but I love it. I've gone there so many times. No, it was my first time going. It was around Father's Day, so it was actually in June.
Oh, okay.
And then, but I did go this past Christmas time, and I will tell you this for anyone who cares about Kwanzaa. I hope they do this every year, but last year they had like this huge thing. Like it was down, I can't remember the name of the park. It's right by StockX. Of course, I don't know that because I'm in the sneakers. But it was so cool.
So they do it up for Kwanzaa.
Yes.
Okay, great. I need to go. Okay.
Yeah, Kenora's is like in the middle of this park, and so that was pretty cool. It was cold.
Yes. Yeah, freezing up there.
It only snowed and it didn't even snow in Detroit. We went further out to like an outlet mall, and it snowed on the way back. And I'm like, this is not what I wanted. Get me back to the hotel, please. I'm
Get me back to the hotel. But I was like, are you not used to it because then it snowed in DC?
It's in DC pretty bad. Yes. But I don't like driving in it. Being out in it doesn't bother me. Like the cold weather doesn't bother me that much. I have my North Faces and my Uggs and everything else under the keyboard. But no, I don't like the snow. Yeah, I like to look at it.
Yeah,
I don't want to
like to see it.
Exactly.
Okay,
look out the window.
Right, go back home and snuggle up. Okay, right. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on this episode. This has really been fun. If you did not know, I love my education girly, so I love to chat with you. I really appreciate that you came on. Is there anything that you want them to know? I'll give you time to, promote later, but anything that you want to share before I get to like the last segment that you feel like you didn't get to touch on?
Okay, let's see. Well, one thing about Coma Prep is, we really are focused on community. We are 501c3, which means if you do donate to us, it could be a write-off for your taxes, so keep that in mind. If you know of any grants that could benefit us, definitely let us know. But no, follow us on Instagram and Facebook so that we have that kind of traction, so you can see what our students do, see what our students are learning. And yeah, if you have any other questions, I can reach out.
I'm cracking up. Okay, so my last segment is basically a postcard segment. It's something to leave them with. So I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give someone past just saying start about chasing their dream if they are in a small town, or say like you move to a new city and you have to kind of like start from scratch? Like, what advice would you give to someone that you wish you would have probably had before you moved?
I say this very cautiously because I would say it's necessary to find your resources first, find the people who believe in you first, and the reason why I say that cautiously is because it might be hard to find those people, and you might get stuck in saying, you know what, this isn't for me. And I don't want to ever say don't do it, but I will say be mindful, because it will be 10 times harder when you don't have the right people. So you're gonna have somebody that's gonna be there to be like, it's okay, it's all right. So be mindful of that. But I think too, be confident enough in your vision that you're able to continue. I always tell people, when I consider Coleman Prep, I'm often asking, what does Coleman Prep look like, sound like, and feel like? And I'll ask my staff that, right? Like when I go into the building, does it feel like what I want? Mm-hmm. Am I hearing the things that I want to hear? And if not, that's what always brings me back, like, okay, wait, we need to fix something. We need to fix this. And so that's what allows me to move forward. And oddly enough, a lot of people will say, we didn't know much about Coleman Prep until you start talking about it, right? Like when you started expressing your vision, then it's like, okay. And so that's one thing. Know your vision, be confident in it, have a bunch of different strategies for how you can make it happen. And, don't be afraid to go back to the drawing board and maybe start again or pivot.
Yes. Okay, period, right? Well, thank you so much for joining us. If you all do not know who she is, I hope you learned a little bit about her, learn a little bit about, HBCU people, okay? Learn a little bit about private schools, charter schools, all that. Let them know where they can follow you at on social media.
So for the school, it's Coleman Prep, so COLEMANPREP. That's on Instagram. I want to say TikTok as well. We're not as familiar with TikTok. But in Facebook, Coleman Prep Academy. I do have an Instagram page, and I'm trying to build. I just started last year, but it's Asa B. Coleman. So yeah, you can follow me.
It sounds like a founder's name. I didn't think because when I heard Coleman, all I think about is Delta and Q's, because the Coleman. So.
Coleman Love. Yeah.
Yes, Coleman Love. I'll be over there like, hey, let me not say what I'll be doing, but I'll be reaching out to them. Coleman Love, can you come and talk to the Colemans? But yes, if this is your first time tuning into Black Girls Den, I appreciate you. If you've been here before, what's up, homegirls? Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and like us on Facebook. Okay, if you are on there, we upload every Wednesday at 12 o'clock on YouTube, and we're on all the podcasting apps, so make sure you stay tuned, like, comment, and subscribe. Comment below your favorite part of this episode. Comment below, anything that you want to share, anything that you thought about this episode, or give her 5 stars, because baby, building something from the ground up is hard, okay? And we gotta shout out our educators and people who are really investing into our youth and, making the world a better place for people that look like us. You know what I'm saying? Because think about how many educators look like you, or related to you, grew up like you, different ways. And it's like ethnicity, it's socioeconomic, it's so many different, things when it comes to that. But yeah, I just want to share that and to say thank y'all so much for listening and watching. Have a great rest of your day or night whenever you watch this. Bye.